Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the AWHI Residential Working Group call, April 15, 2025. I'll be substituting for Joe today, and I hope that we have yet another productive working group call today. Moving forward, the antitrust compliance statement. The Advanced Water Heating Initiative is a member-supported collaborative of professionals from across the US. This diverse membership includes numerous competitors, and care must be taken to scrupulously abide by federal and state antitrust laws. Members should remember that antitrust compliance is important at all times. At this and other AWHI meetings, participants should not discuss competitive pricing, profitability, allocating markets or customers, or promotion of a particular product or accessory. The agenda for today's call is packed with a lot of presentations, really detailed, insightful presentations, and I'm looking forward to a lot of discussion as well. But before that, we have a bit of introductions, a little bit of updates, and some announcements. So, in case this is your first time attending this group call, please do come forward and say hello to everyone. If you're not comfortable to come on the screen, you could always put your name and organization details in the chat. I will wait for a couple of seconds. Hi, Jack. Welcome to the group. Hi, Lois. Nice to have you on the call. Okay, so moving forward with my good old friends and Jack and Lois. I have some updates on webinars and working groups. Last month, we had some really insightful webinars on packaged terminal heat pumps and unlocking the power of building control systems. We also had our first quarter all stakeholder meeting, which included presentations about new heat pump water heater products from GE, HTEC, and Bradford White. In case you're interested in knowing more about the products and also the webinars, you can check out the recording here. The link is added to the slide. Hey, Sam, welcome to the meeting. Moving forward, the Earth Day Heat Pump Water Heater fact sheet. Now is the time to reflect on being a little more green conscious. So, in case you're wondering how heat pump water heaters could save uh, a ton of emissions, reduce your carbon footprint, and help you towards becoming a more green conscious citizen, do check out this fact sheet. The link is added to the slide. Now, some quick updates on working groups. Last month, we had our equity working group call. The spotlight presentation was on split systems. Bit Ecological and Smart Solar have their split systems out in the market. They particularly cater to the multifamily building units. So if you're interested in knowing more about these products and how they're about the practical implications in multifamily buildings, do check out the presentations. The recording is right up on YouTube. The Hydronic Heat Working Group also had its third working group call in the first week of April. The presentation included Harvest Thermal's innovative heat pump water heater design. If you are interested in numbers, trying to know like how this heat pump water heater could actually reduce your utility bill and how it could contribute to being more efficient compared to a gas water heater or electric water heater, do check out the presentation. You can also check out the AWHI playlist and find all other meeting recordings and webinars that are related to heat pump water heaters. This is not an announcement. This is more of a personal call to action. And I guess now more than ever, this is a very crucial time. So, in case you haven't registered for Getting to Zero, and if you're enthusiastic towards zero emission buildings, sustainability practices, or carbon footprint and climate action, this is your calling. So, if you haven't registered, please do take a moment to consider your decision to register. And I know there is a cost that is always associated with registration, but sharing information is free. So feel free to share this information with your friends and colleagues. And I really hope to see you there at the conference. You can find all the details in the social press kit, event microsite, and event schedule. And if you'd like to know more details about registration, you can also reach out to me and I can point you forward to the concerned person who are taking care of all the details related to getting to zero. That will be all from my side. I would like to invite Madeline to come forward and talk about Energy Star Home Expo. She has a quick announcement to make. So Madeline, if you're on the call, could you please come forward?
Yep, I'm on my phone. Sorry to not be able to join by video. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Vidisha, and to Joe for the opportunity to jump in on your guys' call for just a couple minutes. I help co-direct a nonprofit group in Columbus, Ohio called Electrify Central Ohio, and wanted to reach out to this group about an event that we are holding this October, which we're calling the Energy Smart Home Expo. We put this together in partnership with the City of Columbus, and wanted to reach out to you guys because we are fully funded for the event, not asking for money, but we are very interested in finding partners to be able to have exhibitors at the event and just engage on other kinds of support you might be interested in providing for our goal, which is to really have some good broad-based outreach in the central Ohio area around home decarbonization options, including, of course, advanced water heater models. And so, yeah, I'll leave it there. My contact info, or our group's contact info, is on the slide if you're interested is piqued and you want to learn more or chat, ask questions, or it would of course be great if you want to spread the word to anyone else you know who might be interested in the event. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Madeline. Yes, as Madeline mentioned, her contact details are on the slide. So if you'd like to reach out to her, you can always do that. Moving forward to our presentation session. I'd like to invite Tristen Grant from New Buildings Institute to come forward and talk about heat pump water heater measures and building codes.
Thanks, Vidisha, and good to meet you all or be here and talk with you all. My name is Tristen Grant. I'm an associate director on our codes and policy team. I am located in Providence, Rhode Island. My background before joining NBI is in residential high performance design and construction. I'm a HERS rater, a passive house verifier. So I've worked a lot and seen a lot of residential hybrid heat pump water heater applications and installations. So we're going to run quickly through a few pending addenda to different codes and standards that would impact hybrid or integrated heat pump water heaters. There's one proposed for ASHRAE 90.1, one proposal to the IBC/IPC that is also in parallel being proposed to ASHRAE 90.1. So there's kind of two parallel proposals to ASHRAE 90.1, one to the IBC and IPC, and then a separate addendum to ResNet. Yeah, great. Thank you for advancing. Just to give like a high level overview of the concerns that these are trying to address, there are moisture and condensation risk potential that is reflected in the 90.1 and IBC proposals. There's optimized performance, and so designing to make sure these systems are achieving the high COPs, high UEFs that they're rated at. That is really both of the proposals, but one of the 90.1 proposals is really its stated goal, and the way that the language is structured is mostly designed around optimizing performance and not, while it may have benefits towards the moisture and condensation risk potential, it is not, that the requirements are not necessarily structured around those in their entirety. And then the ResNet performance is really related to standard 301 and how HERS raters inspect and verify and model hybrid heat pump water heater installations in the modeling software. Next slide, please. Alrighty, so a lot of this is drawing from and coming from the same place as the shrinking room analysis, right? As volume goes down and the amount of heat in the air that these systems are drawing from goes down, the performance goes down. Where we run into a problem from a building science perspective is that the temperature goes down kind of faster than the COP goes down to a concerning level, and we run the risk of having condensation risk potential on interior surfaces that can lead over long term to moisture buildup, uh, you know, mold, mildew, durability, damage to the building, durability concerns, indoor air quality concerns, all of that stuff. So at 72 degrees, 60 degrees relative humidity, we have a 57-degree dew point, and at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 60% relative humidity, we have a 69-degree dew point. 69 degrees is not that hard to hit when you have a heat pump water heater pumping out cold air, and when you have smaller spaces, the ambient air in that space drops more, and surfaces like drywall and exterior wall surfaces, interior wall surfaces drop a lot lower too, and so you run the risk of those surfaces hitting the dew point and getting moisture buildup. Next slide, please. And so this is from that same report, right? Just looking at the impact of forced convection, this is providing more air with more heat to those spaces. You see a really significant increase in COP in most of the configurations of this. And this is with one of the systems installed in the smallest configuration, the 84 cubic feet. And so that's just to lay out some of the justification behind why these why these requirements are being introduced, why people feel these are necessary, and that they benefit both the performance and the potential for building science concerns, moisture concerns, things like that. Alrighty, so I'll just back up a little bit. One of the 90.1 proposals, the performance-based one, I believe was pulled back and held while the proposer coordinates some with manufacturers and gets some more input on them and their thoughts on how they can modify their installation guidelines to achieve some of this, so that we're not bringing what some feel shouldn't live in a code into the code and is better located in the installation manufacturer's installation guidelines. The other one, this is the IBC IPC proposal. We're going to go through a little bit. So it has a few different requirements and a few different compliance methods. And if anyone has read through these or has been in conversations of these and you have thoughts or think I'm misrepresenting anything here, please feel free to raise your hand. Happy to have a discussion here. That there's been a few iterations of this, so I'm trying to capture what is the most recent iteration that's captured all the comments, but there are a lot of moving parts here. So installations can comply with a few different methods. You can have natural ventilation, you can have exhaust only, you can have intake air only, or you can have two ducted. And so there's natural ventilation, one or two duct, and if you have one duct, it can be exhaust or intake only. So for natural ventilation, you need one large opening at the top and bottom of the space where the heat pump water heater is installed. And you need a certain amount of open area based on the compressor power. And for all of these requirements, you need adequate heat sources for the system to operate at a COP of greater than 3. And that heat source needs to be greater than 2 times the compressor power. And if it's not, then you need to have the exhaust air ducted to a location where there is adequate heat. So if you're installing in a space that has natural ventilation, that they're still requiring you to bring heat into that space or bring heat into the space that it's connected to meet the heating compressor power needs of the system. Wherever you're locating the exhaust, an engineer it needs to be installed in such a way so as not to cause condensation. So there's some hygrothermal analysis of the temperature of that space and how much it'll drop with continuous operation of the heat pump. there needs to be a method or an evaluation to make sure the air is thoroughly mixing, and that the air is not short circuiting between the exhaust and the intake. And for the intake, it needs to draw from and discharge to the same pressure zone, and so they don't want you drawing from conditioned space and exhausting to unconditioned space or vice versa. And you know, again, building science concerns, we don't want to create a pressure drive across dissimilar spaces because of the systems that we're installing. Alrighty, and so the ResNet MinHERS addendum is largely consistent with those requirements and is evaluating that there are differences here. So, and this is something that I'm planning to comment on because I've been going through all this, that we really should be aligning the requirements for how HERS raters are being told to inspect and evaluate and rate the performance of these in their energy modeling software and these requirements that are making their way into code, into the building and energy codes. But it basically requires the inspection of the space where the heat pump water heater is installed. You're allowed to use the rated UEF if it has a ducted intake and exhaust, or if you have a certain amount of open area based on the compressor power, or if it's in a space big enough that they feel you have enough heat in the volume of the air. If you don't meet one of those criteria, there's an equation and you have to derate the performance according to a calculation. I reviewed that. In my opinion, that calculation is not calibrated properly right now. So that's another thing that I'm submitting feedback on. If anyone else has looked into this, I'd be interested in what they're seeing. But, you know, generally this is consistent with the other proposals, and there's just a push for you know, greater scrutiny and accountability for how and where interior hybrid heat pump water heater systems are being installed, reflected in energy models with an eye towards making sure they're performing at their rated conditions as much of the time as possible and not causing adverse building science concerns. And I think that's what I've got on these things.
Thank you for that presentation, Tristen. If you have any clarifying questions, you can please raise your hand or can also put it in the chat. If this is something that you have also been looking into, or if you have come across, and if you even have any feedback to share, we really welcome that. Tristen, would you like to also sort of throw some light on the building types in this case, like the retrofits, particularly family buildings?
Yeah. So that's a good question. That 90.1 proposal obviously would only apply to commercial buildings, including residential buildings that are 4 stories and over. I think that it's a good question. Let me double check. That the IBC and IPC proposal is the building code and the plumbing code. So that would that would cover other residential buildings. I'll have to see if they put in a parallel proposal for the IRC, which would cover single family and duplex buildings. But those might not be covered under these current proposals. So these would just apply to multifamily buildings.
And those would be like even light commercials?
What by light commercial, you mean like residential residential multifamily below 3 stories and below?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I'm just
Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else, any questions? You can also put your in case.
I think this is being proposed to the IPC and the IRC.
Mm-hmm.
So that this would apply to any residential property through that.
Okay. So in that case, it will definitely cover multifamily buildings, different types as well.
Yep.
Because I think it's in multifamily buildings where they have this major issue of interior closet in case of cramped spaces.
Yeah, right. Like I think that's where the um a a big concern is, right, is if you have scaled installation of these with folks who are used to installing electric storage, electric resistant storage water heaters that you can just kind of toss in any old closet and it works fine. If you do that same thing with a heat pump, it obviously does not operate as a heat pump all of the time, and it can also cause building science concerns. So, yeah.
Is the proposal also including some cost economics factor into consideration, given?
Um, for the energy code, it would need to be demonstrated as cost effective. I'm less familiar with the proposal process at the IRC and IPC. I think because those are life safety codes, they do not necessarily need to be cost justified. But you know, does someone have a question? No.
No.
So, but I imagine that they will. Certainly, the ones going to ASHRAE will be provided with some cost analysis if they want to move it forward.
Thank you for the clarification, Tristen. Appreciate your time. I will be moving forward to the next presentation, but in case you have any questions or any feedback for Tristen, you can always put it in the chat and I'll make sure that Tristen gets it. Thank you once again, Tristen. Moving forward to the next presentation, I would like to call upon Diane to talk about innovative heat pump water heater programs in Palo Alto City.
Great. Thank you, Vidisha. Can folks hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. All right. So my name is Diane Bailey. I'm with the City of Palo Alto Utilities, and I'm going to tell you about our 3 different programs in Palo Alto for heat pump water heaters. Vidisha, do you have my slides that you could advance? Great. And one more. There you go. Great. So I don't have a slide about Palo Alto. We are a muni utility. We run our own utilities. And I'm going to talk to you about our heat pump water heater programs, which are part of our sustainability and climate action plan. The City of Palo Alto has fairly aggressive sustainability and climate goals with aiming to reduce 80% of our greenhouse gas emissions going back to 1990 by 2030. And heat pump water heater programs are just one piece of our SCAP, Sustainability and Climate Action Plan, but in fact, they represent a pretty large wedge of the pie of greenhouse gas emissions in Palo Alto. And we have about a little over 15,000 single-family homes and about 1,000 gas water heaters that we expect to be replaced each year. And for each household, that represents about 1 metric ton of greenhouse gas emissions from those water heaters. Next slide. So this is just an overview of our different home electrification programs in Palo Alto. And 3 of them are focusing on heat pump water heaters. Next slide. So I'm not going to go over the other home electrification programs, that's just so that you can see how they fit in. With our 3 heat pump water heater programs, rebate, full service, and emergency, customers can access those programs with one call to our concierge or home energy advisor. And with that call, that concierge or home energy advisor will direct customers to the appropriate program. Next slide. And I'll talk about each of those programs. This is an overview. We have a goal to replace 1,000 gas water heaters with heat pumps. Actually, that was the goal of the first year of our full service program. That's our energy efficiency, by the way. The lights will turn out sometimes. We're a little behind on that goal, but we're determined with these 3 programs to catch up and get those 1,000 heat pumps installed. We're a little over halfway to that goal. We have a rebate option that launched way back in 2016. Our full service option that involves a concierge launched in March of 2023. I'm not going to read all the details on this slide because I'll go over each of the programs. And then our emergency option is the most recent one that launched in September of last year to provide emergency hot water assistance within 48 hours or 2 business days. Next slide. And this is the role that the City of Palo Alto program staff, like myself, I'm a sustainability programs administrator. What we do, we're kind of the central node working with our contractors and various city departments to try to provide a seamless experience for our 15,000 residential customers. Single family homeowners is where we're focused. We do have separate programs serving multifamily, and I'm not going to talk about those today. Next slide. So our first heat pump water heater program, our oldest one, is focusing on rebates. We offer $3,500 to replace gas water heaters. And for residents who have electric resistance water heaters, they can get $500 to switch to a heat pump. In January of this year, we added a whole bunch of other rebates and created the rebate hub to complement the heat pump water heater rebate, including heat pump rebates for HVAC. And I'll show those rebates on the next slide. Our rebate hub is now powered by Rock Rabbit, and we switched to this hub to offer an easier, more streamlined experience for our homeowners, and also to help them access easy quotes from local contractors. We have about 10 or so local contractors signed up to participate in the rebate hub. Residents can use any contractor they would like, though, and if they're willing to put in their own application, and they can self-install or DIY as well. Through this program, they can also access free online consultations through Quick Carbon. We have a formal agreement with Quick Carbon to provide the service to all of our homeowners. And we're also utilizing the concierge service. It's provided by Clear Results. And that's a hotline that folks can call to answer any questions or if they hit a snag putting their application in through the Rock Rabbit powered hub. We also offer Go Green financing to help offset the cost, the first cost. And then we also have a bunch of other resources on our website. It's just paloalto.gov/goelectric. And to date, we have installed 224 heat pump water heaters, which is a small number, but it's relatively large given our small city size. Next slide. This is what the rebate hub looks like and the different rebates that are offered. The central rebates are for the water heater or HVAC, or if you turn off if you disconnect your gas meter. Those are the standalone rebates, and then we have several add-ons for insulation, for wiring and site preparation or circuit splitters necessary as a part of the heat pump projects. Next slide. So getting into our full service heat pump water heater program number 2, we utilize a concierge, which I mentioned. This is through Clear Result, and they really guide each homeowner through the process, providing complete hand-holding, answering questions along the way, providing a welcome email that tells the customer what the process is going to be like, and then just providing support if the customer hits a snag or has any questions, and sending program updates along the way. For example, if we want to remind our customers about the federal tax credit, usually around February, we'll send a mass email to anyone who's installed in the last calendar year to make sure they could take advantage of the tax credit while it lasts. No predictions for the future. Anyway, this is what our concierge does. Next slide. And then in terms of the installer providing service to this program is Synergy. They provide all of the installations. They go on site to provide a home site assessment. And then based on that assessment, they'll design the scope of the project, what kind of water heater to use, and provide the customer with an estimate of the project cost. Part of that estimate will include the subsidies from the City of Palo Alto. That includes a subsidy for the heat pump itself, a site preparation credit of up to $1,000. And then we also offset the cost of one circuit, an electrical circuit, just a standard run. So it'll be extra for longer runs. And then we offset the permitting cost as well. So the program installer will go ahead and provide the installation and any additional work that's needed, including draining the condensate. Sometimes they have to dig a dry well. Sometimes electrical upgrades or panel upgrades are provided. Those projects will take extra time. On average, these projects take about 1 to 2 months from start to finish. And sometimes they take longer because a customer will become unresponsive, or they'll take a long time to decide whether they want to move forward. And we have about a 5% rejoin rate when a customer goes quiet. Sometimes our concierge does outreach calls and we get some of those customers back, or they'll respond to promotions and rejoin. Then last few items, let's see, the contractor does coordinate the final inspection. They don't stand for inspection, but they handle all the paperwork and scheduling. And they do offer an extended warranty of 5 years. Next slide. Very efficient conference room. And the last thing about the full service offering I want to tell you about is that we do offer on-bill financing for this program. This is the only program we have it for right now. We might be expanding that in the future. It's a 0% interest on-bill loan of $1,200, and it's paid back in monthly increments of $20 over 5 years. So it's pretty easy to sign up. Folks can sign up through the contract they sign with Synergy, and we just do a quick check on their bill history. If they paid on time the last few years or so, then they're good to go. Next slide. Okay, I wanted to share a few analytics. How are we doing? How many customers do we get entering the program who decide to move forward? That conversion rate is about 30%. We've seen some peaks and valleys, but over the lifetime, it's around 30%. So we're pretty happy with that. So out of about 1,300 customers who have joined since we've begun, we have 418 installations completed. And just a few things like a couple stats about how we're losing customers and why, who's not moving forward. About 14 to 20% of customers don't qualify for the program. They're not eligible. Maybe they're a PG&E customer, not a Palo Alto customer, or they don't have access to their own meter because they're not actually a standalone resident. They're a condo and they have a shared meter or something like that. Sometimes customers are disqualified because they have a gas boiler in the way. This can commonly occur with Eichlers. 26% of customers drop out because they just decide it's too expensive, or for other reasons, they have other things going on and they don't proceed. And then about 16% go unresponsive, and we can claim about 3 to 5% of those folks back over time. And then just want to note that our customer activity has declined over time. And that is because the most eager kind of green leaning customers, they move forward in our first year. And so promotions have become a really effective driver of signups and installations. And one quick example I want to share is in the second round of tech funding, which happened over the holidays, starting mid-December last year and going through January. For Palo Alto as a muni, the tech program only ran 5 weeks. It was very short, but we did see a 3x jump in contracts signed and a conversion rate around 75% among that small sample pool. And that tells us that running promotions, in this case, we offered a $200 discount. That does drive signups and activity. Next slide. This is dizzying. I just want to pull out a few highlights here. What draws people in? How can we get people to join our programs? And the yellow bars, so each bar is 1 month of signups since we started tracking that in July of last year. The yellow bar is mailers. We've done some physical mailings to our customers, and that has driven the most signups and participation. Following that is our email newsletter. So weekly, we have an uplift newsletter, just citywide, and then we also have utility newsletters. Those are our biggest drivers. Synergy, our contractor, has done some canvassing. That's the brown color. And you can see in recent months when we've seen a decline in activity, the canvassing has really helped. Next slide. And I know that I'm running out of time, so I'll go through these quickly. We have a good customer satisfaction level of 8.1 out of 10. And this is just a photo from someone's home of a water heater that was wedged into a very tight closet, and that customer gave a 5 out of 5 rating, unsolicited, telling us the crew was great. Next slide. So just a little bit about our recently launched emergency replacement program. This is the third heat pump water heater program. We have a hotline in place that can get people to a service and get someone to help them even after hours. They'll get a voicemail prompting them to hit 1 if they're having a water heater emergency. And our goal is to restore hot water within 2 business days. And we do provide weekend and after hour service. That's an extra cost. So this pilot is covering 100 homes, and it's served by Larrett Brothers Plumbing. We've had about 82 customers sign up so far, and I think today is our 20th install, and the installation has met that 2-day promise. I do want to note that this program, we've had trouble raising awareness, and we're working on our Google Ads, and we've lost a lot of customers early on in the program over cost. And so we've done some fine tuning to address the high cost issue. Some customers find out about our full service program that has higher incentive levels. And so they've waited to get their hot water. One customer actually moved their family out of their home to wait for a cheaper heat pump water heater solution, which is kind of a drastic solution. We added a $1,000 site preparation credit to address some of these higher costs, but then our contractor also voluntarily lowered their prices from about $500 to, in some cases with 80-gallon units, $2,000 discounts. And now the difference in cost between our emergency program and full service is about $300 to $500, which is where we want it to be. Next slide, just wrapping up here, Vidisha. This is just to show what our Plunger app supports immediate service for this program, what the conversations look like. Customer gets a very quick welcome message, they get a call, we collect their information. In this case, the program manager, Andrew, notes in this Plunger app, I'm on my way and I'll be there in 10 to 15 minutes. And this is a call that came in yesterday just to show how those conversations go. Next slide. So a couple stats about how the hot water program works, very similar to our full service. The Plunger app and the contractor will take the home information over the phone or online, and they'll do a quick load calc and generate an estimate for that customer right away. In some cases, if the home setup is complicated, they will do in-person visits, and they'll try to go that same day to do those in-person visits to honor the 48-hour hot water goal. They do take care of, in addition to the installation, they'll take care of the permits and the final inspection. Next slide. Just wrapping up here, Vidisha, I see the time, just a few more slides. We have had a few customers use temporary loaners to bridge them for panel upgrade in one case, and in another case, a narrower unit from LG, those kind of rectangular units, was on order and taking some time. And so a gas loaner was used to bridge that customer. In all of the emergency cases, we had a couple that weren't emergencies and the customers opted to take long, but for all of the emergency cases, this contractor has honored that 2 business day installation and hit that target. And the program has a 9.3 out of 10 customer satisfaction rating. Next slide. Just wrapping up here. So I have a few slides on outreach, and I'll just zoom through these to say we're trying everything on outreach, all of the usual things. Our city manager will make comments at city council meetings. We've had heat pump water heaters on display at city facilities. Next slide. We do all of the usual channels of online digital ads, social media. We'd like to start exploring next door ads and flyers throughout the city and tabling at events. Next slide. This summer, we hope to rent the electric dream home from Silicon Valley Clean Energy and have that on display at one of our events, one of our most popular events in the summer to attract attention and generate buzz in the community. We have overpass banners that are getting hung. I mentioned the door-to-door canvassing, and we're going to start a contest to give away a free heat pump water heater. And after that, we'll follow that with another program that offers referral bonuses to try to keep promotions going for the program. Next slide. A few minutes over. Sorry about that, Vidisha, but just want to say thank you. And if we have a minute to take questions, I'd be happy to. But also I'll type my email in the chat and folks can also just reach out to me separately.
Thank you, Dan, for that presentation and for all the details on like how you're doing the outreach to customers. That was very helpful. We do have questions in the chat. Is this rebate program stackable with other rebates like Golden State Rebate or BayREN? And is multifamily eligible for funding?
Yes, the rebates are stackable, but Palo Alto folks in our muni are not eligible for Golden State or BayREN rebates. Multifamily, we have separate programs for multifamily. This program serves single family or condos or townhomes that have their own set aside meter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you do have programs of multifamily buildings, right?
We do, yeah.
Thank you. There's one more question on the warranty. Is it a 5-year warranty on parts and labor?
Okay. So the manufacturer warranty applies, and in most cases that's 10-year on the actual equipment. The extended warranty that goes beyond the 1-year mandatory for labor and parts. This is for Synergy for full service. That offers 5 years on labor and parts.
Okay. There are other questions too, but I'll just take one quick question before I move on to the next presentation. The question is from Nick. Have you analyzed how much each heat pump water heater install would cost the city? In other words, what's the total subsidy or incentive?
Oh, that's complicated. Okay, so for our rebate customers, it's just $3,500 straight up. For our full service customers, sometimes the subsidies can be up to, I think, $6,100 or $6,200 in total for all the different components. And then for our low income customers where it's fully cost covered, it can cost a little more. That is because Palo Alto has some very old homes and some very complicated water heater setups that sometimes require relocation or special venting or other long distance wire runs are expensive. That can be an extra $2,000 to $3,000.
Okay. Thank you for that. We do have some questions coming up in the chat. I encourage you to sort of like answer to them, and I will move on to the next presentation.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
I would now like to welcome our next presenter and the final presenter for the meeting, Deepti Dutt from NEEP, to talk about technical resource manuals as tools for decarbonization.
Thank you, Vidisha. Hello, everyone. I am Deepti Dutt. I am a manager on the technology market transformation team at NEEP, Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnerships. And this is a great segue, talking about a particular city, a muni working on energy efficiency program, to what a technical reference manual can do, like with states and utilities in helping them standardize, in helping these measures standardized. So next slide. Thank you. So just a quick introduction. NEEP is one of the RIOs. We are in the Northeast, and we work with a lot of our stakeholders to drive market transformation and also prepare different materials for dissemination. Next slide. And I'm going to try to fly through the presentation so that we have enough time for some questions. And so why I want to talk about TRMs today is because TRM is a very important resource. TRM is a technical reference manual, which can be in the form of a document, a spreadsheet, an online database that contains energy efficiency measures information used in the program planning, implementation, tracking, reporting, and evaluation. So, and some of the information it includes is deemed or predetermined energy and demand savings values for these measures, engineering algorithms, variables, and factors such as measure life information and hourly load shapes used for calculating impacts, documentation to support these values, calculations and assumptions for energy efficiency measures, as well as the applicability conditions for how this information can be used or where this information is appropriate. And also, it has the information about non-energy impacts and the factors that are used to calculate and measure the cost effectiveness. So, as I mentioned, like a high quality TRM with consistent savings values and methods can increase the confidence in the quantification of impacts associated with efficiency actions and support increased implementation of these programs. And next slide, Adisha. Sorry, I think I jumped a slide. I'm sorry, I wasn't synced. So, okay, so as I just explained what a TRM is, and next slide. Thank you. So these are some of the TRMs that, like, there are different types of TRMs, and this is kind of a general distribution of what we found in across the country. And to learn more about the Northeast TRMs, we interviewed some implementers, some consultants who work very closely with states in the Northeast and also other states in the country to get a perspective of what they see is happening in different states. Next slide. Perfect. So why we need to modify a TRM, or like as I just mentioned, energy efficiency programs goals are shifting and energy savings from energy savings to greenhouse gas emissions reduction. And this will require a paradigm shift in how we design a measure and implement these programs. And energy efficiency programs are evolving. They are no longer just replacing small devices or light bulbs. The lighting market has transformed, and now we are moving on to HVAC and water heating. And to get a better understanding or to get better results, we need to consider home as the entire home to get better savings. So, which includes the envelope, the size, the location, and from there we get to like why weatherization is important. It is one of these areas that is emerging. Programs are trying to create packages and measures to streamline the process of weatherization and the rebates that are available. And updating the measures and methods used to create the TRMs is needed to help energy efficiency programs to shift focusing from just efficiency to efficiency plus electrification to help building decarbonization and grid flexibility and demand response. And that includes like stacking measures for retrofits, adding new measures such as high performance windows, heat pump water heaters, different types of them like storage, split, commercial for large multifamily buildings, cold climate heat pumps, and adjusting to new features like demand response technology. So TRMs do not measure greenhouse gas emissions. And sometimes, next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the things that we did is we ensured that we created an inventory of what TRMs like have currently, the latest versions of TRMs that have in our states in the NEEP region. And this is what we found, like the different measures that are offered and what's included. And we see that heat pumps and heat pump water heaters are there across the board, and which is great. And another thing that we noticed is weatherization is not very consistent. Like some are more inclusive of different aspects of weatherization and some are not. And to bring that together, I just want to talk, today I'm going to walk through one of the states here, New York, that did a pilot to see how packaging of different measures can give better results. And next slide, please. So to do that, like ensuring that your technology that we are talking about is included in the TRM is very important. And as I said, like heat pump water heaters can be a great way to save energy, and it can be an easy way to start off home electrification. But as we go into space conditioning and envelope measures, it can get complicated. And to do that, we need to bundle these measures. And this is an example of what New York did. So basically, like deep energy efficiency retrofits offer dramatic reductions, and packaged weatherization measures are always considered more efficient. So sorry, next slide, please. Thank you. So as we talk about New York's Comfort Home pilot program, the packaged approach utilizes standardized simulation software to compute energy savings rather than using deemed values method or custom measured approach. So the underlying motivation for this pilot program is to support greenhouse gas emissions and the reduction targets that New York State has. New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, and also accelerate the adoption of heat pump technologies. So basically getting your home ready to be heat pump ready. The weatherization measures help you do that. Next slide, please. And talking about that, like when you think about weatherization as a system of package, it breaks away considering just individual measures, which can sometimes be cost prohibitive, but when you bundle them together, they go hand in hand and also contribute to the cost benefit analysis, which are financially justified. And in general, like when you package, then we can consider this packaging as a bundled approach for reducing impacts on the grid too, to reduce grid's peak demand, and also that helps utility from creating more ways of generating more energy. And next slide, please. So these are some other examples of states that offer bundled measures. Massachusetts does that, New Hampshire does that, and New York has a lot more comprehensive program. And next slide, please. Thank you. So to achieve this, we need to align these measurements, especially when it comes to fuel neutral goals or greenhouse gas reduction goals. We need to align the TRMs with states' goals. And we see that Northeast has some very aggressive carbon emission reduction targets for the next few years. And to achieve that, we need to, next slide, please. We need to ensure that the conversions that end in kilowatt hours and therms are both converted to a more neutral unit to have a better understanding of energy usage. Then the current calculations account for different interactions and assumptions. So heat pumps in cold climates, like how they impact lowering of delivered fuels. And I know like they increase the energy use, but then the impacts on greenhouse gases. So how these are compared and how they come together in final cost effectiveness can be a great way to show the overall impact of heat pumps. And if the goals are about like depending on states, whether they are fuel neutral or if you're looking into reducing your greenhouse gas emissions, aligning them with savings, greenhouse gas savings, and including carbon savings into cost effectiveness calculations. Next slide, please. And another very important step to be taken is integrating demand management and peak demand management. So currently, Northeast, like the NEEP region, since it comes under cold climate, our demand for electricity in summer is higher, and we use gas or oil for heating. Whereas now, with the shifting goals towards electrification, that is going to change. And that means that the grid has to be more prepared. The grid has to be designed to handle summer peak events, winter peak events, and reducing the sizing of heat pumps through weatherization measures, through bundling different approaches, can impact these to some extent. And this can't be done at a regional level. It has to be more of a state-by-state approach because of how the electric grid is designed, and different states have different goals. And another factor affecting the value of energy efficiency to electrification is the need for is the need to generate trusted time and location-dependent grid and pipeline impacts. And just a quick mention, Dunsky worked on a demand response optimization model. It considers the complex interactive effects and peak shifting impacts to associate them with different and potential different demand response measures. Next slide. So one way to get to this change is to include all the stakeholders in the process, which allows the new ideas to flow into the planning process. It helps understand the barriers that different stakeholders in this process face, and it also helps identify what the emerging products are that can be considered, like the window heat pumps. And also it helps build trust in the TRMs and energy efficiency programs. And overall, it helps reduce confusion between implementers and contractors. It helps streamline and standardize the processes. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, TRMs need to be updated to form other parts of the portfolio process to become a part to become more streamlined with what the state goals are. And these updates can be complicated, but we have lessons learned. It's a process, and there are people to help with this. And it needs to be more on a state-by-state basis because of different goals that we have and different demands that we have. And overall, NEEP is working with states in the region to help with TRMs, and however we are able to provide support, we are here. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, Deepti, and we are right on time. So I have just a quick question. I have a quick question plugin. How often are these TRMs updated with the stakeholder meetings, with all the stakeholder meetings?
So I think there is a 3-year cycle. Some are updated on a yearly basis. Some are in line with the energy code updates. So it can be around 3 years. I think most standard is about 3 years, once in 3 years, but some states tend to do that on a yearly basis. And there's usually they open up for public comment, so we can all comment. And I think they do have a panel that sits together, like an advisory committee that works on this updates. So they take comments from all the when it's open for public, they take those comments into consideration and see what is available, what kind of funding is available, and work with utilities, implementers, and state offices to put these measures, to upgrade the measures, to update them, yes, and include them, what technologies need to be included.
Thank you for that answer, Deepti. Just a quick subset to that one. When you mention stakeholder engagement, particularly with implementers and contractors, there could be like in different states, there could be like different issues with regard to labor and cost. So how does this work? I know like all the states would have like a different TRM, but on a whole, how does this whole process work, taking into consideration the issues from the contractors and implementers side?
So that's the suggestion that I'm saying, like you need to include them. Like right now, the people involved are regulatory committees, state energy offices, and utilities. And what I'm suggesting is we bring in, like when we utilities talk to their implementers, they understand what's happening on the field, and you take that information when you are updating your TRM. So when you say that this measure is going to provide this kind of savings, you use basically you're running a simulation software to do this, or you're running a copilot, you're running a pilot program to do this. So you're learning from different ways and then updating the TRM. It's not just like basically using different MNV softwares, what works best. And I think national labs like PNNL is also providing support in updating TRMs to different states, because right now I think a lot of states are either due or are currently like actively updating their technical reference manuals. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, this is Nate Gitters, Paul Campbell from ICF, and I and some folks at the OB that did on TRMs at a conference last year, and so huge variation from I think the most comprehensive one is Illinois. It's really, their process is extremely intensive, and it's every year. And then there are others that are just we don't have one. We haven't updated in 5 years, and we just rely on the state next to us. So I think West Virginia relies. I just said this relies on Pennsylvania. I think it is. Yeah, huge variation in how they go about it and how often, how much they invest in it.
Absolutely, Nate. We agree with that.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you, Deepti, for the presentation. It was really very insightful. We appreciate your time and consideration for this meeting. I'd like to wrap up this meeting. We're almost on time. So yes, the next meeting will be on 20th May 2025. In case you're not getting any updates or the meeting invites or the presentation slides or meeting recordings after the meeting, you can always reach out to this email listed in the slide. In case you're also interested in joining the equity working group or hydronic working group, or you need any information about the other working groups, you can always reach out to this email. I wish you all a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining us today.